the meaning in life is just to live. I have the impression that we people often grow up in the pursuit of something, of a goal, of a career, of a trip, whatever. And the thing is that we always seem to be living in every time other than now. Essentially, what this means is that I am here and I want something else that it is not here and it's somewhere here. And I need to climb up for my way to get here. Essentially. Sorry. And so the idea is that this is a complete, how should I say this, delay of the present moment, of living now. And I think this matters because there is never time for now, except for now, and we never allow ourselves to be in there right now. Essentially, when we constantly think about things about ourselves, about the future, about everything else that is not happening right now, we are living there where, who knows, in the potential there, the future that we think about ourselves is not necessarily there for us. It can be to some extent, but not entirely, for sure. And the thing is that this is life's unpredictability. It's just too uncertain sometimes. And so, what the most absolute certain things, the most absolute experience is obviously now. Yet at the same time, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't really seem to be the case. Why? Well, if we constantly are distracted from everything else other than now, well, how can you really spend time on you here, right now, and where you are, if your mind is constantly on something else other than now? Basically, if you allow yourself to have some time for you, for yourself, and for the people that have earned your time, nothing else in the world really matters more than that. And so I'm saying this because there's this concept of the delayed gratification, which of course it has some sense into it, but or how much, we do not really know. It makes sense for you to do it if you have a goal in your mind, such as try to get jacked, or grow, or learn a language, or learn a skill in general, whatever. If you have some of these skills, some of these goals, then it makes sense to some degree, for some years, let's say. But if you constantly put yourself in that through, how do you live? How do you really enjoy the coffee date that you're about to go and the experience of walking down a beautiful forest path? If you're constantly thinking about the money that you should be making, or the jobs that you have to do, or the work, or the labor, well, those things are not gonna go anytime soon, as long as we live. But one thing is definitely going to live, to leave us apart, to abandon us, and that is the existence that we have right now, the life, the form that we are in right now. And so I'm saying this because if someone is not really distracted, he either get his thing or her things done, and then you may as well spend your time wherever you want. And the thing is, if you're distracted, basically in this modern world, in this new world that we live in technology, in phones, in constant information and instant gratification and dopamine, happiness, and all those stuff. Basically, all those things are too intense for the brain to ignore, and so the brain is gonna spend time there. And if you are constantly filled up with such things, you're not really living. Essentially, we are alive, dead. We are alive but dead. Essentially, we put an end to our lives simply because we are too distracted to live. And so I'm saying this because the present moment is all there is to it. There is no past, and there will never be future, in some sense. because we have access to the right now, the way it is right now. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the past, present, and future. Many people believe this, but someone can say that because we cannot know all the not consequences, all the circumstances in which we came to be, even if entire groups of scientists search this up, we still may as well not knowing how we do this. I mean, we have ourselves, the human body, right? We have us, the mind, and our conscious self, and the decision that we're making. The in-between distance, how this is explained, is still unknown. It's way too complicated for us to decide what makes a decision, what makes a thought. And so when you really try to put this down into words and give it a description, essentially that is the essence, that is the real hard, that is the difficulty of searching and explaining and do whatever you want, and essentially searching for all those things. Because to an extent, I think that those things are not really meant to be explored. We do this because we, as a human species, we do it because that's part of ourselves, I suppose. Part of human existence is technology and science and discovering how the human body and environment works, right? And so, back to my point that essentially now is life. Life is now. Life never existed beyond now. And you can say to yourself that you can do one thing and you have some reasons for playing or for acting or for taking place in some actions or some activities or whatever, simply because there is a reason behind it. For example, I eat healthy, I eat very strict diet because I want to be healthy, I want to be functional, I want to be happy and strong organism and all this stuff. And essentially, you can say that you are eating so strictly because you want to be, let's say, healthy. So you're eating that, let's say, the things that you want, let's say Spanish, let's say lettuce, how do we pronounce that? Let's say that you are eating vegetables and fruits because it's healthy for you. And this makes sense to some degree, actually a lot of sense. But also there is this spontaneous effect that we humans have, the freedom of just acting as however we want sometimes or not. Freely acting as whatever we like, however we like. And for example, with this logic, you can say that I wanted ice cream because I want to eat an ice cream, not for any other reason other than eating ice cream, because I wanted to eat an ice cream because I thought it was a great idea, because I love it, right? And if essentially you decide to do this more often, this may as well come out to you greatly. There's a great benefit for you to live without the rules that society is supposed to force upon you or other people are supposed to force upon you, because this is how you must act or this is how we humans do. And so the thing is that people are much more free when they act as they wish. That doesn't necessarily have to do with a specific reason or something that must be done for the sake of reason, for the sake of reasoning. I'm sorry. And life has everything inside it. Really, life is whatever you decide to be. And when someone is essentially asking himself, what's the meaning of my life? Every answer can be legitimate and every answer can be accurate, as accurate as possible to that person's point of view. Because there's no one else who's gonna say to you that you were born for this, that you are supposed to do this, and that is it. Essentially, these people are not being taken seriously anymore, in my opinion. When you, let's say, play a game, or you hang out with a friend and start talking about your favorite subjects, when you realize that you're spending time with that person, for example, and talking so much about life that essentially it's like you are talking to this person about seemingly 5 minutes, and you're not tired at all. In fact, that you're fully at energy and at peace, and everything is relaxing and easy. But in reality, you have spent close to 2.5 hours talking to that person about your favorite subjects. And when time is essentially invisible, time is timeless, you can basically see that this is something that it's worth your time. You can basically say that activities like these are things that one's life is made of. And when you find plays and games and activities that associate yourself with such ease, that you may as well spend your time reading, let's say, literature, and you realize that you love this so much, you can spend all of your time and energy into this, and basically your life would be your life would be reading literature for the rest of your life, and it's going to be one of those decisions that you're never going to, how should I say this, doubt or regret, because you were there. When you were doing that thing, that particular thing, you were there, you were present, you were the one that you were supposed to be. You were there. When there is no time, when there are no restrictions, when you can do whatever the hell you want, however you want, you are the happiest person. You're great. And believe it or not, I actually know, this is my opinion, that almost every single individual in existence have such traits or such activities or relationships that if they find that person or thing, they essentially fell in love with that, and everything is forgotten beyond that. Nothing is more important than that. And so the idea is that those activities, even though they are by themselves some things, and it's worth spending your time on that, it makes your presence here more intense, and life is more sweet, life is more sufferable. Even if you're at your worst states, at your worst possible situations, that is worth your time. These activities, the things that makes you more present, are worth your time. And a common thing that I think that I myself is thinking essentially is that health is so much important because it makes you forget about everything on you. What do I mean by this? When, let's say, this footer, this great shirt, not exactly shirt, but anyways, this hood, when this hood essentially sits on me when I wear it, I want it to be exactly on my size. Because if it is on my size exactly, it is like so natural. I don't feel anything because I wear this. If it was larger or smaller, well, then it would have made a difference in my mind and in my eyes, for as well, and of course my own body, right? If I wear, let's say, a jacket that is 2 meters long, when I'm not 2 meters, essentially I'm gonna say, what's the point? That's annoying. That's not something useful for me. And so, when you wear the clothes yourself, if you wear them and you feel like nothing's changed because it's exactly on your size, and essentially that's exactly where you want it to be. And in exactly that same way, essentially, if you take activities, if you talk to people, if you treat yourself in a way that you make forget about life, or you make forget about labor, you forget about all the you forget essentially, or all the either painful or insignificant things that exist in your life. And basically, when you're healthy, you're more present than ever. And that's one amazing benefit of being healthy, other than, I don't know, being the way that you're supposed to be healthy. And so now that we live here in an environment that is the natural for you not to be unhealthy, for everyone not to be healthy, to be constantly distracted, to be constantly consuming, either eating or watching videos or spending time on the internet doing other stuff, who knows. Essentially, when you're constantly putting yourself in a situation where you have to do things, well, we forget the passivity in life, which gives us mindfulness and presence in a way that is satisfying and meaningful and really worth it. And so the meaning in life is to just live, is to be in the moment, to be completely engaged in what's happening right now. Because if it doesn't, well, then you're just playing a role. You're just pretending to live in another timeline, where that timeline, you don't know if it exists, if it's going to exist. It probably won't. But you pretend to be in another timeline other than now, and that timeline probably doesn't exist. So we're making situations and circumstances for ourselves for times that do not exist. That's how it seems to me, at least. And I'm saying, what's the point? Why do anything? Why do we constantly have to do things if we do not really care about them? Why talk to people that are just not meant to be with us? We just can't handle them. We just don't want them in our lives. Why? What does it matter? This is a great reason for me to just say to yourself, what does it matter? What is the reason to do anything if nothing matters? If nothing is in present? Well, we do seem to make things more reasonable by saying, I'm doing this because of this. And to some degree, I would agree. And so, why do we as people act, think, and essentially agree on terms that we don't really understand, but everybody seems to be doing them, and it has no meaning, it has no importance whatsoever. Yet when it comes to how we want to live, basically we never say what we really want, how we really want to live, why we have mixed feelings with some people in their relationships. And basically we are never honest about ourselves, we're never honest about what we want to do. And we just accept the terms that we people are living with. I don't know why we do things that we don't agree with. I don't know why we must agree. I don't know why we must reject our own reasons for existing and our own search for meaning. I personally don't really want to accept that. I personally love how I live for the time being. And the thing is, it's something that I started thinking way younger than now. And I'm so glad that I did. And this happened because I had very rough younger years, that essentially put me into questioning everything and saying, what's the point of interacting with people? I cannot stand them. They seem pretty stubborn and they have no incentives to make a conversation or play or have fun, and they just all the time mock me or make me look like I'm stupid and all those stuff. And so I'd rather spend time with myself, playing my games and being on my own, and basically try to find my reasons into why I do everything I do, because I just cannot stand people's behaviors. If I can at least make sense of what I am doing, probably everything is gonna be much more suitable for me to do. If I want to do, let's say, a behavior that is typically weird, and I have the reasons why I'm doing it, I feel much more comfortable doing it. And that was the old way I was thinking. But now, the more I grow, I think to myself that the less active I am, and the more I am selective to where I want to act, the more relaxed I am, and the more, ironically, productive I am in a way. Productive and present and appreciative and healthy and everything great is coming by sometimes not needing to explain everything, sometimes not just doing everything for the sake of doing, and sometimes just do what I want, being a little bit more spontaneous, being a little bit more impulsive in a way. And so I think this is gonna be my idea for today. Why essentially living starts with now. And there is no other time than now. And basically, if we really understand this, then we will probably stop wasting time and precious life. And we're gonna love our relationships more and have a tendency to express more about ourselves and just do what we want to do. Who cares? Who cares anyway? This is all gonna end in a way. I'm not saying this in a nihilist way. I'm saying this in to realize essentially that if we have a limited time, let's just make it a beautiful fairy tale or a gorgeous story or an epic one. And so this is gonna be my video for today. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to see you in the next video. Okay. Thank you and goodbye for now.